And we are live. Hit record. There we go. Alex, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well. It's
Michael, how
another
you doing?
it's
Doing
another
well.
fine day. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I just uncovered my new lucky coin, and I'm happy to have it. It's a
Nice.
Super Mario 3D World promotional coin that I got for being nice at an EB Games.
Would you rather have that or a Bitcoin?
Well, right now that's TBD. Stuff's going on with that. We'll have to see where that lands us
Yeah.
tomorrow. This space moves quick. Alex, you ready to do a podcast?
Yeah, we're here to do a podcast.
Sweet.
We are.
All right.
Yeah.
This is all about Rainbow Siege, a game that I am not familiar with. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Best of Three, an esports podcast that is also made in esports. Can you believe it?
Let's
I'm
try that one more time.
no, no,
No? All right,
no.
we're
Let's
rolling with
actually
it.
start
We're
it one more
rolling with
time. Here
it.
we go. Here we
All
go.
right, all right.
Hello and welcome to Best of Three, a podcast made in esports. I'm Mike, and of course, I'm joined with Alex Kim. Alex, how are you doing today?
That's me. I'm doing well. How are you? Still just Mike.
Doing all right. Went to the dentist. Now I'm ready for some esports.
Yeah, those things go hand in hand.
Those things go hand in hand. I, I long for a day where we can have dental offices inside esports arenas, do you not?
Hmm. I I got nothing for you
Oh,
there.
I'm so sorry. Alex, how was this week in the world of Amuka
Oh, today is a very exciting day
today?
because the Parabellum boys they played their first matches at the Six Invitational in Paris.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Yes,
All
yes.
right. So
They played Oxygen Esports and they played Maker.
have you
Yeah.
been getting updates on like what they've been doing leading up to now?
I actually watched. Updates on what they've been doing. They've been doing nothing. They're in a bubble. They're not allowed to leave. They cannot
Oh,
even order food. All the food has to be room service from the hotel. I believe they get like a half hour of outside time a day just because they're not allowed to lock them inside like animals.
whoa, that is a strict policy.
It's a bubble. It's a bubble. They don't want any shenanigans.
I can imagine. But okay, so have they
Yeah.
been like they've been in communication with you guys, I assume.
Yes, yes, yes. So they're super active on social media. You can find them on there. They're playing their matches, and yeah, of course they're speaking to the Parabellum management, and we get some updates here and there as well. So
Okay. But so everything has gone smooth up till
there's
now.
unfortunately due to a last minute change in coaches,
Uh-huh.
um, our coach Kool-Aid right now he is not allowed into the play area with the players,
Oh,
unfortunately. So you see some of the other teams and they have coaches standing behind them and we don't, which is really
really?
unfortunate. Yeah.
So how do they get around that? Is there any way for the coaches to communicate with the players?
So he is watching from a different room. He's watching on Discord and communicating through there, but unfortunately, he's not able to join them inside the play area. So
Is there a big difference between being on Discord and being behind the people?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so. I mean, you see really what's happening. You can sort of see everybody's view
Mm,
rather than sort of maybe one or whichever one you're looking at that moment. You have to flip through, um, and it's just a little bit more, I think, real time. You get more information. You see how the players are acting, how they're looking. You can make some micro adjustments here and there, right? But with just
mm.
voice, you may not be able to tell as much, glean as much information.
Interesting. Interesting.
This is what I think. I am not a coach by any means, so this
Well, because I
is
assume that the coach, they see the back of the heads. I get the point of, just being able to see everybody's screen at a glance.
right.
Um, I don't know. I feel like that's probably true. Or being, in the same box as the rest of them is key. Gives you that little advantage. I wonder how that is helping the Parabellum people perform.
I'm not sure actually. So I haven't been able to speak to them since they had their first set of matches this morning, but
Mm-hmm.
they hopefully will get used to it, and
Right.
yeah.
Well, that is
Um,
amazing. And so,
they
in
are they are the first Canadian team to make it into the Six Invitational. I
really,
believe they are the second challenger team ever to make it to the Six Invitational. So the
ooh,
challenger team is sort of their tier two league, and Parabellum obviously was at the top of that sort of challengers league. But they made it into the Six Invitational, and only one of two teams to ever do so.
and how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel fantastic. Proud, first Canadian team. This is a team that all of Canada can back. It's the only Canadian team that has ever made it to the Six Invitational. So really,
Wow.
they're playing for Canada.
Well, there you go. And in honor of the Parabellum people and all of the people who are playing in the R6 Invitational right now, we are going to be speaking today about Rainbow Six Siege. Uh, Alex, tell us a little bit about Rainbow Six.
Man, all right. So Rainbow Six is essentially a multiplayer only game,
Huh.
where it's a shooter. So it's heavily based on strategy. You get quick kills. There's no shields. There's no reviving. There's no, much like Counter Strike. And then the most interesting thing I think about Rainbow Six is the destructible environment. You don't see
Mm,
that in a lot of multiplayer games and a lot of games in general, but with the destructible environment, it lets you take strategy wherever you want to take it.
right. And I mean, I'm familiar with Rainbow Six as a video game because it was a very very big deal when even when I was a kid, not knowing what shooters were basically. Uh, where it came out of Tom Clancy's book series. Is that right?
Most definitely. Yeah, yeah. I think the first Tom Clancy book was in like the 80s. You
Right.
know, yeah, so it's like a long time sort of building from there,
Mm,
and to what it evolved to be today.
right.
There was even a movie, I think, there was a movie in there somewhere, and a whole bunch of different Tom Clancy, titled games, Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon,
Right.
and then other games in the Rainbow Six series. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, just some baseline stats too. Like, there have been 17 Rainbow Six
Yeah.
games since 1998 when Rainbow Six first came out, the video game for N64, PS1, and for mobile Game Boy Color.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
17 games. Yeah. Who do you think you are? Call of Duty?
Yeah. Right. No, we've oh, as well as the Sega Dreamcast. Wow, back in the Dreamcast
Ooh,
days.
I didn't have the game. I
I didn't
had
either.
Dreamcast, didn't have the game.
Well, there you go. Uh, and then since then, it has evolved and evolved and evolved. But I feel like it had never really hit that mainstream shooter or that mainstream multiplayer audience, that competitive audience, until
Well,
later.
it's okay, so we really got to go back to the history of Rainbow Six here.
Really?
Um yeah, so I think it started with these very it started off very tactical. The first N64 game, the first PC game, it was like almost a simulation compared to what was out,
Mm,
arcade style shooters, things like that. But with this, you had real strategy. You had to coordinate, you had to plan, and it was almost like at times looking like a playbook in on a football field or something like that. Little X's and O's, very very strategic. And I think over the course of their many 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 games, they sort of started to stray further and further away from that,
mm,
how strategic it was, and really really sort of that realistic tactical sort of vibe. um, and then in 2011 there was they announced Rainbow Six Patriots.
okay.
So this was a game that was supposed to be basically Rainbow Six.
Yes.
Rainbow Six Siege as we know it today. So they put in a few years of development there, but ultimately the game was scrapped. Super unfortunate, but it led to what Rainbow Six Siege is today. So they started the development of Rainbow Six Siege in 2013 after they scrapped the other one. They were like, there were some leadership changes there. It was sort of built on an older game engine,
Hmm.
Ubisoft's proprietary game engine, that was also used in Assassin's Creed. And then there was also like next gen consoles coming out, and it was just like they didn't think it was going to be good to put out an older sort of game on all these newer platforms. So they scrapped
Interesting.
it, started building R6 Siege, 2 years of development, and they bring it out in 2015, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
2015, I do remember when Rainbow Six Siege came out because there was major hype built around it. It was this whole like you're able to actually interact with your surroundings and you can legit blow down a wall when you want to get in. And I mean like shooters had tried to play around with that. Like Battlefield, I remember I think Battlefield 1 had the same kind of mechanics where you could actually bust down the buildings that you were trying to fight on. But Rainbow Six Siege like really hedged themselves on that one.
Oh, it's crazy because when it came out, I think it shocked everybody just
Mm,
how different it was from the other games in the series. The other games were, if you played any of them, were heavily story based.
right.
There was multiplayer, but it was really story based. It was
Well,
um,
because the game itself was based on a story.
Well, then you get R6 Siege, and you're like, hey, story's out the window. This is
Right.
multiplayer only. Story's not out the window. Sorry, multiplayer only. So they still had like a single play. Sorry, like a story mode where you could play multiplayer. But
Oh, a
yes,
multiplayer story mode.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. And so
Um,
when Rainbow Six Siege first came out, uh, what was that like? How was that received?
So I think it was the gameplay, the core gameplay was received extremely well. They
Okay.
were like this from critics and people who were trying out the new mechanics and everything. It was very, very different and fresh from what was out there. But the problem was it felt not complete. You still had to
Ah,
pay for the game. If you think about it, a lot of the games that work on this sort of game as a service model, they're free to play games, whereas Rainbow Six, you had to pay for it, and maybe you don't, with the amount of content that was released. I think they started with 20 operators, um, and yeah, it's just they didn't they didn't have enough content on there to justify the price. I think that's the way that a lot of people felt, and there was still glitches, there was lag. The bones were good, but it needed to
mhm.
be worked on. You know, um, yeah, so it's crazy. Like when at launch, if I'm looking at the numbers here, December 2015, they had less than 8K concurrent players. So they had,
No.
yeah, so 8K. I think for the next like 6 months, they didn't even hit 10K.
Wow.
So it wasn't popping when it first came out. Like you said, there was a lot of hype. It was very new, very different, but I think people were sort of off put by that. Um, but but Ubisoft, they persevered. They were
Okay.
like, we will not waver. So they were like, hey, we're going to put out a crazy content schedule. We're going to put out updates. We're going to support this game. We believe in it. It's different, but we're going to do this and
Okay.
make the game better every single patch. And so they continue to do so. And I think the first sort of huge patch that they put out was Skull Rain. So Skull Rain was, I think, like the third patch that came out.
All right.
They implemented like their Battle Eye anti cheat. They fixed some of the lag and some of the bugs there. But the anti cheat was huge. Just
Mm,
bringing out these types of things that enable the competitive nature of the game, right? So
right. And that kind of leads me to wonder like how bad was the cheating before then that
I heard.
they
I mean, I read that it was really bad. I did not
right
play it at that
right
time,
right
so
no
yeah.
yeah well that was the thing. If you were not one of the 8,000 people who were, I wouldn't blame you. That makes sense.
Um, yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I think Skull Rain, and then there was another patch called Operation Health. Those
Okay.
two were probably the most infamous patches that sort of helped to
I like that they're
get,
naming their patches, by the way.
yeah.
Like
And you know what? In a paid game, these are essentially free
right.
expansions every patch, right? So they continue to put out free expansions for their game.
I don't know if I would call that free expansions per se. I think with every expansion you are introducing a new group of people to your game and you're bringing in more people to buy the retail version. This was like back in 2015, mind you, as well, 2016.
Yeah.
So like subscription services for games wasn't as much of a thing. People were still paying for like World of Warcraft, but not
Hmm.
so much for like battle passes and things that you yeah, like League of Legends was really hitting its stride around this time and people were getting in
No,
that skin
battle
game.
passes were, I think they were around there. Year one of Rainbow Six, there definitely was a battle pass as
Right.
well.
So
Yeah.
inside the game you had the ability to, yeah. But
Yes.
it's interesting that like there was that financial barrier getting the game still compared to like all of these other ones where you don't have to pay for the game. You just download it for free and then they get your money through other ways.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's a way to look at it. I really think in a paid game that free patches, free updates, free
Yeah.
content is huge.
Oh, 100%. Oh, I absolutely agree with you. Versus, say, Pokemon that I play, where you buy the game and then you buy the DLC and then you buy the second DLC and then you've unlocked 75% of the Pokedex.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Man, oh man.
Um, Yeah, so getting back to Operation Health, I think
Hmm.
this was also one of the most infamous patches for Rainbow Six because they announced that they would take a 3-month break on content to work on bug fixes and fixing servers, any lag issues, they had a huge laundry list of stuff that they were going to fix in this 3-month period where they were not going to put out fresh
Hmm.
content, no new operators or anything like that.
To be the, what's the word there? To be the, I guess, devil on your shoulder there. I feel like those are separate teams. I feel like if you're reallocating your content team to fix bugs, that's
Not a good
not a
sign.
good sign. It's a strange allocation of resources in the first place, and to reallocate them later is also quite strange. But but the sentiment is there, and whether or not this was actually the case where they, actually pulled people from content to work on bug fixes, I think it's a good sentiment to be like, hey, you know what? We are going to show what we care about right now, and what we care about right now is not so much the content; it's the it's the gameplay experience. It's making sure that we have a solid game, both competitively and just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, the first couple years of its release, I think were really, they were just trying to polish it up, and a lot of people didn't think that it was up to snuff in like a AAA title,
Yeah.
um, and they really needed to get to fixing those things. The issue I think was that I think at the end of the 3 months they came out and there was only like a couple things on the list that were fixed.
Because these things take time, and I'm
It's
telling
tough.
you, it's not a reallocation of resources. They probably like upped their timelines from their existing team. Maybe they brought on a couple more people. Maybe they even did move some people from one team to the other who had the relevant skill set. But I just don't see how removing content can speed up all of the problems that they had been, addressing. But I digress. Um, Ubisoft, they persevere.
So okay, here's maybe a little bit of another perspective. The
Mm,
more operators you add, the more new content you add. You got to test all those interactions and make sure there's no additional bugs that you're adding there. So if you just hold off on the content, then you're allowing the time for um, whoever's the teams working on the bug fixes and all that to catch up, right?
right. Okay.
Yes.
No, I get that. I get that. Um, so what happens after uh, Operation Health after 2017?
I think people were still a little cheesed after that, a lot of
Mm,
players, but I mean, over these couple years that they've been sort of working on the game, adding operators. You know, people complained that there wasn't enough content, so they're like, we're gonna put out a ton of content. People complained that there was, bugs. They're like, we're gonna fix these bugs, and they really started to, I think, strike a chord with the community.
mm,
There was a core community that they were building that really loved this game and were supporting the game, and I think Ubisoft was doing a fantastic job of connecting with those players, you know. And that's something that I think developers can have a real hard time doing. Let's use Valve for an example.
right. Absolutely.
It's possible, like they tend not to be so transparent. They don't give frequent updates what's happening with this. They may address certain things and not address other things. So um, but really, if you look at Ubisoft, this was their first real, foray into like a competitive multiplayer game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and they started their pro league in, I believe, 2018, so 3 years after release. So they're like, hey, like maybe the game's stable enough. Let's get a competitive scene going, right? So they started their pro league, which started with Xbox One and PC. But this is a huge decision to make too. Like even for tournament organizers now, which platform do we go with?
Right.
Yeah, so they had two separate platforms in year one of competition, and I think Xbox One that was the one and only year of Xbox One
Oh
competition.
no. Oh
But now
no.
is greatly joined on PC competitively, but also, and this is what I think makes Ubisoft such a fantastic developer to be supporting such a fantastic and sort of almost niche title.
Mm-hmm.
In 2018, they announced that there would be no sequel to the game, and you're like, oh snap,
Oh.
maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. But they committed to 10 years of updates.
Oh.
So they're like, we're going to support this game with content and updates for 10 years, 2028.
I like that though.
That's
I've
a
got to say,
commitment.
that's a commitment. The most successful games that I have seen have that 10-year plan. StarCraft did not have that 10-year plan. StarCraft went in with a 5-year plan, a very clear 5-year plan. And they stuck by that. And as you see, after 5 years, games started to decline. Um, Mobile games, some of them are now coming out with long-term plans for their esports, for their competitive, just for updating their game, and it's giving people a reason to get invested in it. It's giving people
Right.
a reason to download the game and play it and experience it and learn how to do it, because they know that their game is not going away anytime soon, and they won't have to, change, because that's what people hate to do. So if people
Well,
are like,
maybe
wow,
that's why.
I can
Maybe
download Rainbow
that's why.
Six. If people are like, wow, I can download Rainbow Six and I can get really good at it,
Right.
I know that I won't have to leave and go and join another game once they stop supporting this game in a year. Because
Well,
you still
also,
got time.
if Ubisoft's not committing to the game, why should I commit to the game?
Right. Right.
Like they're gonna put 10 years in, I can put 10 years in.
But I don't think anyone's like expecting any company to outright say that how long they're going to be supporting a game for. Because I think in the back of everyone's mind, they're like, yeah, okay, they made Overwatch, but they're gonna make Overwatch 2. So do I really care about Overwatch? This way is like,
Oh, I'm
It's
gonna talk about Overwatch a little bit later
oh,
too.
I
So
can't wait.
yeah.
Um, so it's interesting to me anyway that like the baseline is not hearing about commitment at all,
I
and then
think
anything extra is
this game, especially if you're going to purchase the game and you know how long, everything will be up for, whatever servers,
ab-
content, all of
absolutely.
that. Yeah,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think it's
but
that's a very tough decision to make, and I think Ubisoft can do it because they are Ubisoft. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like uh their whole thing is that they're this major game conglomerate now with major money behind them. They sponsor and host tournaments. They're pumping out games all the time. They have the capital to do stuff like this. So this is kind of a way to set them apart rather than just
definitely.
pump out new stuff. They're focusing on their esports people.
I mean, what I see it as is they had a game that they were gonna put out and had to scrap,
Mm,
and then had to start development on another game, and then they saw how poorly it was doing. The sales were abysmal, and they doubled down. They're like, screw it, we're going to commit to this game. We're going to let you know that we're committing to this game, and you should play this game because we're going to make it the best game we can.
hmm.
And people, that resonates with people when you see that sort of transparency, and that sort of, the I want to say, almost passion out of a corporate entity, right? Yeah.
Interesting. And I mean, since then they've teased and shown trailers for Rainbow Six Quarantine, but
Yes.
one, ooh boy, unfortunate title.
Yes. Yes. So I believe they are renaming
Yes,
well, they started production on that, or development on that, sorry, before the
way
pandemic
before.
hit.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, they revealed it in like E3 2019, and so
Ooh.
2020 happens, and everyone's like, oh, maybe don't.
I
We're
wonder
all
what kind
playing
of game that
Quarantine
would be,
already. Yeah, well, yeah, yeah, it's
because
true.
there's really not a lot of information about it out there. I'm not sure if it would be like a direct sequel to this, or if it would be back to a little bit more story mode, single player type situation.
Hmm.
I'm not sure, you know.
No, I'm with you. I'm curious though what they're going to do with that 10 year commitment with a new game. Is this just supporting two, or is this just I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Mhm. So we
But yeah.
have before we head to the break, Tommy in the chat, you might know him, says, "How is Rainbow Six different from CS:GO or Apex?"
So Rainbow Six is I want to say similar to CS:GO,
Mm.
in that it is fast, round based. There is no revives. There's no getting picked up when you're down. There's no shields or anything that soak up extra, hit points.
Right.
You can be down with a single headshot type of situation. So very much like CS:GO, but where it differs is the operators. There's 59 different operators. These people all have different abilities, different skills. Some
Wow.
people can reinforce, some people can breach in different ways, some people can move quickly, some people have different offensive, sort of tactical abilities. Abilities sort of interact in a different way. So it's almost like you're putting CS:GO and maybe some Overwatch put together,
I was gonna say
but
Smash
also,
Brothers. I was gonna say Smash Bros.
why Smash Bros?
Because of the roster. Everyone is here.
Everyone, yeah. I think that's the difficult part about this game is, maybe we'll talk about that after. But yes, the biggest differentiator of this game to other games, the destructible environment.
Mm-hmm.
It adds with Dota, an example that you might know. You have all the team combinations.
Yes.
You have who you're against, who you have on your team, all the skills and the items that you can have. But then imagine also adding a destructible environment where the map can change dynamically as you're playing.
Right.
That's another level of strategy that you
Right.
have to implement, another layer. It's crazy.
Interesting. And so, in contrast to Fortnite, where you build all of those buildings, these buildings are all just there. This is a map that you're playing
Right.
on. Mm.
Right, right. So yeah, Fortnite also has dynamic sort of map and arena, but that's due to adding things, not taking things away, I
Right,
guess.
right.
Yeah.
It's a combination of adding things and taking things away. Right. Plus, I mean, the genres are completely different as well. But that aside, the mechanics are similar at times, but also quite different.
Yeah.
All right, so I
Yeah.
think from there, we're going to move into the esports element of Rainbow Six, and we're going to do that after we take a little break. So sit back, sit tight. When we come back, more Rainbow Six. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was was that your brother?
That was my brother,
I
yeah.
figured.
Are we still like on stream or is it the bolt animation?
We're still on stream,
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah.
but on
Two,
that note,
two. On
uh,
that note.
there is an animation that I have here, and it is for Bolt Plus,
Ooh.
now available on the Google Play Store and the App Store.
Hello animation.
And now we're back. How quickly that happens.
Oh
Cool.
my goodness. Oh man.
Have you been
So
watching Rainbow Six?
honestly, the only Rainbow Six that I've started getting into
Mm-hmm.
is Parabellum. When Parabellum picked up the R6 team, I know a lot of Parabellum does like to play even before we had a roster. So that was really my only introduction and sort of familiarity with Rainbow Six. But
Yeah.
it's such a fun esport to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Super, super fun. And like I think one of the amazing things is that for me, one of the reasons why I would enjoy playing it is because it's not as aim based as something like Counter Strike.
Okay.
Because you can make up for it in other ways with strategy, with like, tactical know how
Uh-huh.
and, things like that, experience that it's not a straight up, Twitch shooting, like flick of the wrist type situation. You really have a plan and you execute with your team with
Right.
communication and all of that, right? So
There
I
is that strategy element to it, that
it's
that they
super
supposedly
tactical.
took away, but not really, because you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink, or whatever the opposite of that is. You can take the cowboy out of the man, but not the man. I don't know what the saying is. Something like that. Take the
Oh
man out of the
my.
south, but you can't take the south out of the man. That's it.
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
You take the hardcore strategy element away from Rainbow Six, you still have Rainbow Six, which is a heavily strategy based game. Um, and with that, we're back from our break. I'm putting that
Oh.
last part in. That was great. Um,
Hello there.
let's chat a little bit about the esport of it, because as we speak, the
Yeah,
R6 Invitational in Paris is
it's
underway.
happening.
Is
It's
happening.
happening right now.
Now, Rainbow Six, again, as Alex mentioned, with its beginning roster of about 8 to 10,000 players, has expanded quite dramatically in both its viewership and its amount of people watching, or amount of people playing, I should say. Right now, the amount of people playing Rainbow Six totals about uh, 15,000 viewers on Twitch, which
Hmm,
is
hmm.
a ton. Uh,
So that's concurrent as well, I
yes,
believe.
correct.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the growth. Let's talk about the growth here.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, they started from nothing. Their concurrent playership was like less than 8,000. Um, let's look at a year later in December of 2016. They were up to 17,000, so 10,000 more concurrent players.
Right.
And then you fast forward to December of 2017, and they jumped to 60K. concurrent players. So you
Wow.
see the growth, the commitment that they made to their game and the growth that follows it. And I
The
just think it's
response, yeah.
yes, it's such a great thing to see in this sort of age where you're like, oh, it didn't work, let's throw it away.
But and you know what? I was thinking about that as well. How committing to a game like that to the people who are uninitiated on Rainbow Six, you know what that does is like this, the confidence from that one company being like, we are going to commit to this game for 10 years. The people who haven't joined in on Rainbow Six yet are like, oh, okay, so apparently Rainbow Six is so popular that they're committing to it for 10 years. Okay, I might as well go and play. And whether they know of Rainbow Six or not, now they're getting into it, and now they're trying out the game, and now they're experimenting, and then eventually a small percentage of them move on into pro play. So I don't know. I think it's a wise tactic.
They have a reputation that is spreading,
Mm,
a reputation about this game and about Ubisoft and their support. And I think that is really what attracts new players. So now you're looking at I think they peaked at like 120,000 concurrent players in March of 2020.
yep.
Which is crazy, and I think throughout the pandemic they've leveled off a little bit, but the growth has just been incredible, just exponential really. And if you look at some of the Twitch stats,
Yeah.
so Twitch, let's see here. I'm looking at Twitch tracker right now, and the hours watched. Let's go. Oh, sorry. So I wanted to see. They are the 21st most watched game in terms of hours watched. Sorry,
Wow.
on Twitch. So they have 4.22 million hours watched
In the past 7 days.
in the past 7 days.
Wow.
That's crazy. You want to know what else is crazy?
Mm.
Overwatch has 2.59 million at number 25.
Oh no. Oh, there's a heavy drop off between number 20 and number 21 and number 25.
But if you look at the sort of, and this is why I said that I wanted to bring up Overwatch later,
Yeah.
is there's just a very different approach to how these people supported their game and their esports ecosystem. I think with Rainbow Six Siege, it was very much organic. They grew it, and every follower, every player that they had, that was growth.
Right.
They truly entice these players. But with Overwatch, Blizzard, these are huge people that are probably fans of Blizzard that have heard the game through various whatever, and also the esports ecosystem that people were paying 25 to 40 million dollars for a slot per slot for. It was very much forced, and they're at number 25 right now.
Wow. Now that's amazing. That's really really cool. Um, does this say more about Overwatch than it does about Rainbow Six?
Think about both.
Okay, that's fair.
But I mean, it's not. It's if you look at something like peak viewership,
Yeah.
Rainbow Six Siege only had about 254,000 viewers. That's their peak viewership in the last 7 days, and that puts them at 70th on Twitch.
Okay, but to be so high on the general ratings and so low on the viewership ratings means that your viewers on Rainbow Six are committed to Rainbow Six.
Exactly. What does that tell you? The people who love Rainbow Six love
Uh huh.
Rainbow Six. It's not everybody, but the people that do, and that's really the community that Rainbow Six has built.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The people who follow Bitcoin follow Bitcoin. The people who follow Ethereum follow Ethereum. The people who follow everything else follow everything else. We don't have a lot of overlap in that space or this one. That's interesting. Tell me about the Six Invitational, though.
The Six Invitational, yeah. So this was set up as pretty much the end of the year World Championships of Rainbow Six by Ubisoft, and I believe all Six Invitationals were took place in Montreal.
Hmm.
Ubisoft is from Montreal. It's where the developers from, and that's where they hosted their World Finals. And I believe this year, because of the pandemic, it's the first year that they're playing in a different location, and they are in Paris, of
Mm.
course. But just getting back to the growth in 2017, so that was the first year that they launched their sort of esports initiatives, their first Six Invitational. They had $100,000 prize pool for the Six Invitational.
Okay. So they really went
Um,
hard for that one year when Operation Health came out. They're like, all right, you know what? This is just the year of Rainbow Six. And to that point, that was something that we saw a lot when we were back to going places in person, is all of the Rainbow Six booths. We saw a lot of those at the conventions that we went to, and I'm sure people who had been going to esports conventions or EGLXs and that kind of stuff would recall the Rainbow Six booth.
So actually, for a couple of those conventions, I was working at a booth that actually sold Rainbow Six merchandise,
There you go.
and it was flying off the shelves. So these are officially licensed pins and other merchandise, and literally they were selling out of some operators. And people were just coming, hey, do you have this operator? Do you have this operator? And they were just really, really doing well. And it shocked me because to me at that time, Rainbow Six was not a game that I was super familiar with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then, I mean, from there, you mentioned the $100,000 prize pool in
Yes.
2017. From there, 2018, the year that they, announced no sequel and were supporting this game for 10 years, they had to really put their money where their mouth is. So they offered a $500,000 prize pool for their Sixth Invitational. And to me, that just, it makes more and more sense that how these guys have kind of gotten to the fever pitch that they're on right now, because the growth that you've seen in just those past 5 years is, well, more like 4 years, is staggering. Oh my goodness. From there, 2019, again, they had to really step it up. If they're like,
Yeah.
we are going for 10 years every year, we have to do something more than the last. 2019, they offered $2 million in their prize
Four
pool.
times the amount.
Four
2 mil. They got.
times.
Oh.
Four
And it's
times.
incredible. Today they're at 3 million. So there's a $3 million prize pool
Yeah.
for the Invitational in Paris right now. And I believe it was a 1 million base prize pool that Ubisoft put up, and 2 million was crowdfunded through the Battle Pass.
Whoa.
There you
Nice.
go. Again, you see the community stepping in, stepping up, and adding to that prize pool, and you see the commitment. $2 million have been put into this prize pool by the fans in the community.
Right. Right. And I mean, we've seen it, and this is why battle passes are a thing, is because they work. It, like, let the community fund your projects. That is what they're there for. They want to see esports grow. They want to see people succeed, and they don't mind paying a little bit of money to help them get there. So I thought that was really
Most
cool.
definitely. And it's I think the cool part about this is not only did Ubisoft decide to put out a completely new type of game that sort of had mechanics that you hadn't seen before,
Yeah.
but they also were getting into a multiplayer only game, a complete pivot from what they were working on. And then on top of that, with the multiplayer only, they were creating an esport, which they had never done before as well.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things very new to them. With Blizzard, they'd been long into the multiplayer game. They've been long. You can blast holes through the floor. There's a sort of verticality to the game that
Oh,
is
cool.
not available in CS:GO, right? You see that more in battle royales.
Right.
But in Rainbow Six, you fully get this vertical. You could be shot through the floor. You could be shot through the roof. You could be shot through the walls.
This is
And
true.
it's a very interesting way to add that sort of in. And the comms, though, if you ever get to listen to the comms between these guys, it's incredible because the amount of communication that is necessary to get a cohesive strategy going, to really, yeah, to to be at that high competitive level is just incredible, and their intensity when they're able to pull something off, it just fires you up. I I love it. It's very exciting. It's fast paced and it's interesting
Hmm.
because you're not going to see the same strategies every game
I
because
imagine
it's so
the
dynamic.
I imagine the commentary must be a little bit more tactical and less colorful, or am I wrong in thinking that?
Definitely there is a lot of talk about tactics in the commentary there. Um, and it's weird because I say that it's suspenseful, but it's also fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's a combination of fast paced action and also sort of strategy. So before I
Right.
get into this room, I got to throw a camera in there. Is there anyone in there? Maybe there's someone blocking, so I have to go around, create a hole over here, and I shoot him through the wall. And because I saw him on the camera, something like that. But that suspense builds because they're
Right.
strategizing as they go, and I think that's the thing that makes it almost movie like, that makes it so interesting and suspenseful.
Oh, for sure, for sure. The entire game plays out like a wartime movie where, you have your intro where everyone's just trying to like get a lay of the land and figure out what they're gonna do, and then you know, once the enemy is spotted, then boom, you hit the climax of the movie, and everyone's fighting, and there's guns flying, bullets flying, and they back off. And
Yeah,
they re-strategize. They try and figure their stuff out.
exactly.
It's not just a one and done. And then they meet up again, and then boom, the final battle, and then everyone fights, and then game's over, movie's
And I
over.
think that makes it different from something like Call of Duty,
Right.
where Call of Duty is really high adrenaline, high octane, fast paced at a consistent pace. It's consistently fast. But that
Yes.
doesn't build suspense. It'll get your heart rate going, and like you'll be like that for a while,
Mm-hmm.
just sort of wired, but it's not like, oh, okay, we're okay right now, and then, oh, what happened? And then, like, okay, we're okay. Like,
Yeah. I imagine that must be quite a switch for Rainbow Six players to go from R6 to like any other shooter. Because to be so tactical in Rainbow Six and then move into like this big shoot 'em up that is like Fortnite or CS:GO, uh, I wonder how an R6 player would perform. In my mind, they could actually perform better because they use their brain more, they stay calm more.
I imagine that our six players look at, other shooters like Dota players look at other MOBAs.
Okay,
That's how I imagine that would go.
right.
I play the hardest, the most competitive, the highest skill ceiling game in the category, and all of you guys are just playing, the Nickelodeon version.
I'm playing chess and you guys are playing checkers.
Exactly.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, that's how I imagine they'd feel, and judging by what I've seen, as a viewer, it's very much true. There's just so much to take in,
Mm-hmm.
and the learning curve is massively steep. There's 60 operators now, and they're adding more all the time. Every new operator has a whole set of new skills and like
Wow.
different mechanics, and the interactions between the other 60, operators. It just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
So that's to say that Rainbow Six isn't going away anytime soon, and it looks like this 10-year promise is going to actually be a 10-year promise.
Yeah,
Cool.
hopefully. I want to see another 7 years of greatness from Rainbow Six,
And
or
then
more,
they'll
more.
do, yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's the safe bet, right? Is to be like, yeah, we'll do it for 10 years and then we'll reevaluate. And if it is still popular, if we can still expand upon it, then we will. And if not, then we'll move on to the next thing. Um, yeah. So
I'm really curious how Roller Champions is gonna do.
yes.
So, Roller Champions, I mean, I want to say Ubisoft's second foray into esports. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, we see you, Rocket League, car soccer. We're gonna slap some